All right, there we go. We should be live now. Let me
All right.
go on the phone and make sure everything's good. All right, I think we're good. This is so exciting. All right. Hey guys, what's up? This is the first episode of the Rivals podcast. Got me, Scott Gamer TV, and William Edis. You know, welcome everyone to the show. William Edis, why don't you talk about your channel? I guess since
Yeah.
it's on my channel.
What's up? Yeah. What's up, everyone? Obviously you're here from Skylander Gamer TV's channel, so you obviously know who he is. I'm Will Metis. I have a YouTube channel myself, but Skylander Gamer TV and I both have a love for NFL football and stuff like that. So we decided we'd create a new channel, but we're just getting the word out today, so we're on his channel, kind of promoting it. So.
Yeah. And then real quick, I'm actually gonna link the channel because we're gonna do that in the comments below real quick. But yeah, so if you guys like NFL stuff, go subscribe to this podcast. We're gonna be promoting it. After this live stream's over, I'm gonna promote it on my channel. But further episodes will all be on the Rivals podcast. Link is in the description. And today we just kind of wanted to give our power rankings for this next week. It's coming up tomorrow, obviously. So why don't you give your 32 first, William?
Yeah, so how we're gonna also just a bit of an intro. How we're gonna be doing this power rankings is we're gonna be each sharing our 32nd ranking, which is the worst NFL team in our opinions, and we're gonna be going down the list, just both giving each of our picks for the who we think is the least powerful to most powerful going into Week 7 of football. So, for me, my 32nd, my weakest team that I have, not really a surprise, but for me, it's the Panthers. So I picked the Panthers just mainly because, I mean, first of all, their record is not good. I think they're 1-5 right now. And second off, they just got rid of their best player, Christian McCaffrey. So I don't know. He went away to the 49ers, so I'm not sure if that trade was very valid, but that's why I'm picking them at worst team right now.
Yeah, it seems like the Panthers are going, and I agree, they're my 32nd too. It's not really even close. It seems like they're going like full like tank mode, like let's get a bunch of picks this year. I think they're probably going to trade away DJ Moore if I had to assume, since they're getting rid of, since they just got rid of Christian McCaffrey. I assume they're also going to get rid of DJ Moore. Maybe they even get rid of Baker Mayfield, or unless they signed like a contract with him. Did they sign a contract with him, or was it just a 1-year deal? I think it was just a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, I might be. Not
Is this
entirely
like
sure.
a tank for like Bryce Young or something season? Maybe. The Panthers' only win came from the Saints, which the Saints themselves I don't think are the best team ever. And I mean the Panthers, I don't think they have an easy schedule either coming up, right? I think the Panthers, I mean they could
Yeah.
finish like one in like
They're up
16.
against Buccaneers, and then Falcons, Bengals, Falcons again, and then Ravens, which I mean already that the next 5 weeks looks tough for them. I mean Bengals, Ravens, and Buccaneers are pretty tough. Falcons, that's a toss-up game because Falcons are not amazing, but they've been winning some games this year, so
Mhm.
you know.
Scrappy team. Yeah, and then I mean like it's like you don't want to be in a position where like every single game is like a 50, even like the games against easy teams might be like a 50-50 win. I really wanted Baker Mayfield to work out. It hasn't really worked out. Is he playing this week? I don't know if he's playing this week.
I'm not sure.
I think they actually might have benched him for Sam Darnold. I'm not sure.
Really.
Yeah, and then Robbie Anderson, obviously, he's gone now, and it just sucks for them. Anyway, my 31. I'm gonna say the Houston Texans is my 31. I think
My 31 are the Detroit Lions.
Ooh, I have
So
actually a tad bit higher than that, a little bit higher. What can I want to hear your reasoning as to why the Lions are so powerful.
So yeah, Lions are 1-4 right now. For me personally, like they have Jared Goff. I think he's a good quarterback, and DeAndre Swift just came back. So I think I mean obviously that's why they're not last for me, but because I think DeAndre Swift coming back will be a plus for their team, obviously. But for me, I'll just it's a bit of a spoiler. I put Texans for me are 30th, so it's just one above. But I'll give my reasons to Texans a bit later. But that's why.
Yeah, for me, the Houston Texans. I mean, their one win is against the Jaguars, and Jacksonville's like maybe they sweep the Jaguars, but like, I think they're another team that like might be trying to tank. Honestly, I don't. I think their schedule actually isn't too tough, but I just don't trust Houston Texans. I mean, their one good player is Brandon Cooks, and like that's it. That rookie they picked up, he's kind of okay, but like the games they have coming up are against the Raiders, the Titans, the Eagles, the Giant, like Dolphins. it's a pretty tough schedule. They also play the Chiefs as well this year. It's not looking good for the Texans. They might only win like 2 more games or something like that. And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, but you said your 30th was the Texans.
Yeah, yeah. Going on that, my 30th is the Texans. For me, they're like I look at their lineup and it's not very strong. Like you said, Brandon Cooks probably their only really good player. Damian Pierce is all right. But yeah, their team is just not there right now. So, you know.
And going on with that was your 30th. My 30th, I hate to put an NFC East team this low, but it's the Washington Commanders. I have them actually lower than the team they just beat, but Carson Wentz is out now. It's Taylor Heineke time. He's coming in, which I actually kind of like Taylor Heineke. I don't think he's that bad. He played a pretty impressive game against the Buccaneers in that one playoff game 2 years ago. But I mean, their schedules, they play the Packers coming. I think they're playing them in Lambeau. I'm not sure. But the Commanders, I think they might as well just try to tank this season. I don't know how long Carson Wentz is out, but even with Carson Wentz, like the best thing he did was like have a really good block against what was his name, Roquan Smith. That's like the only thing he's done basically the entire year. I don't know how you think about Carson Wentz because he used to play for your team, but
Yeah.
their schedule is pretty tough. They play like the Packers, the Colts, the Vikings, the Eagles in the next coming weeks, and I just don't think this team is gonna get more than like maybe like 6 wins. Honestly, I have them pretty low.
For me, I have Commanders right in my 29th, kind of again going a bit above higher than we should be right now, but I'll just talk about the Commanders just because they're next for me anyway. Yeah, I've never, even when Carson Wentz was on the Eagles, everyone was saying, he's the best, stuff like that. I was never a Carson Wentz fan. I still am not too big on Carson Wentz. I think he's obviously always injured, so that's obviously a negative to him, and he's just not been doing good with this Commanders team. Their running back game is I mean, I feel like it's bad when, like the running backs are probably one of the best parts of the team, although they're not very consistent. You have Brian Robinson, who was out in the beginning of the season. Obviously, that was an unforeseen circumstance with him, like being involved in like a shooting or something. Like something with that. And then Antonio Gibson is not strong. I actually had him in my fantasy week, and I had to put him in the first few weeks, and he was not good. Even when he was the running back one. But their running back game is all right. Obviously, they also have Scary Terry, so that's a plus for them, but he's also not been performing very well this season. So
Scary Terry, you mean Trayvon Diggs' son? That guy? Yeah. Okay. I mean, he's probably the best player right now. But like when there's not like a good, I don't even think he's been like the number 1 targeted receiver on the team even. I think it was like some other guy. I forgot who it was, but I don't even think Terry McLaurin was like the number 1 targeted receiver, which is like really weird. The only 2 teams they beat are the Jaguars week 1, and then they just beat the Bears in a pretty fluky game. Okay, number 12 whatever for the Bears sold their team that game. If it was a Darnell Mooney just held onto the ball for like 1 more second, they would have won. It was a pretty fluky win, and then they went like toe to toe against the Jaguars, which I mean people are hyping up the Jaguars like in the early beginning. I never thought they were a good team personally, but yeah. So you just gave your what?
That was 29 for me. So if you want to do 29.
For 29, the team they just beat the Chicago Bears. I want Justin Fields to be good. I really like Justin Fields. I want him to be good so bad. And maybe he is good. Maybe the Bears have just failed him. But like Roquan Smith wants to leave probably, and he's like their only good player on their team. And it just losing to the Commanders at home on primetime is not a good look for you. Like Darnell Mooney, he's good, but like he's been up and down this entire season. I don't think the Bears are really going to stand a chance. I think the Detroit Lions are actually a better team than the Bears. I have them higher than the Bears. I think that like really the only good game they had where they didn't lose badly was against the Vikings where they came back. But all the other losses have been pretty bad. Like especially that Commanders game. That loss was a terrible loss. That was a terrible loss. They had one good week 1 win against the 49ers, but like week 1's like the biggest liar of any week in the NFL. Yeah. I don't trust his team at all. And I don't even trust Justin Fields. He hasn't been passing at all, like 10 pass attempts or something like that per game. It's crazy. Their
Yeah.
run game is decent, but like their run game has only been decent when they're playing bad defenses. So the Bears for me are they're 29.
Yeah, for me, 28 are the Bears. So we kind of have similar rankings in that. I don't think, like you said, I can basically agree with all you said. So I don't feel the need to kind of restate that. But yeah, they're not looking strong. Win against or loss against, excuse me, loss against the Commanders was pretty bad and kind of just showed that their team is not going to be very strong this year.
Yeah. I maybe like 3-4 more wins. I'm not sure. Now for me, finally, 28th is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm actually surprised I have them this high, but they did have a good win against LA, and that's about it. They did play good against the Eagles. That was kind of a weird game though. It was really muddy and stuff like that. And then Trevor Lawrence. I don't believe in Trevor. I don't buy into the Trevor Lawrence hype. I don't think he's going to evolve into like a really great quarterback. I always thought he was overrated. Even in college, I thought he was overrated. Other than that, Christian Kirk, I have on my fantasy team. He's actually getting me points, but they're not winning. They're not winning. Losing to the Houston Texans at home is pretty bad. Now they did have that one really good win against the Colts, but the Jaguars just own the Colts in Jacksonville. I think it's like the last 8 games they beaten them. But I mean, in Indianapolis, they had a pretty heartbreaking loss to the Colts, which boosts them down to 2-4 now. Now, I do think they will be a better team than last year. I could see them going like 6-11 or 5-12, but that's still pretty bottom of the barrel for me. So yeah, they have them at 28.
Yeah, for my am I on 28?
Yeah, 28.
32. So yeah, for my 28, I'm matching you here. I have the Jaguars as well. One thing that I am hopeful with the Jaguars is that their team is definitely trending up. I think that in the years to come they're going to have a better team consistently. But yeah, this year they've just kind of had some bad losses like the Texans. Like that was a game that they probably should have won. The fact that they were that close against the Eagles gives me some hope against their team. Of course, I root for the Eagles, so I was glad that the Eagles got that win. But yeah, the Jaguars. I say Jaguars, like I cannot say however it is, but I say weird. But yeah, their team not that strong this year. I think that they've kind of already shown how they're gonna play this year, and I don't think it's gonna really change.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think coaching. I thought Doug Peterson might do something, but it's looking like, Well, yeah. Anyway, my 27. Finally, here we go. Is the Detroit Lions. I think that once Javonte Williams comes in, I think that offense is gonna be even better. Which they were like the number one scoring offense right for like the first couple weeks, and they just got like plowed by the Patriots. They play the Cowboys actually this week, so I am hoping they move down to 1-5. But I do think they're way better. Like their offense, man, is just so good, and their defense has just been like letting up. So like having Seattle put like 40 points in your own building. That's crazy. Like every single game they've had, I'm pretty sure was like a high scoring game besides the Patriots game against the Eagles. It was a high scoring affair. Their offense has been doing good. They need to get a better quarterback play, I think. I don't think Jared Goff is really the guy. I think they need to get a better guy in the next couple of years. But they have a lot of they're building. I think Dan Campbell's a good hire. I really hope they don't fire him. I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown's also a really good wide receiver that they were able to pick up. And so yeah, I think Aiden Hutchinson was probably the best player they could have taken in the draft. So I do think that their organization as a whole is trending upwards, and I don't think they're going to be necessarily that good this year, but I think in the coming years they might start being pretty good.
So for my 27, I have, and this is a really hot take, but the Arizona Cardinals I have in 27th. Kyler Murray. I've been seeing some pretty funny memes about him, like gaming, and so I don't know if you've seen those, but
like how stats get worse or whatever when Call of Duty comes out.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, yeah, for me their team is all right, but it's not that strong. I feel like sometimes they only start playing when they're down, when they're losing. That's feel like that's sometimes the only times when they're coming up. They have James Conner as running back. He is now out with a rib injury or something, so that's a big blow to them because he's good. Benjamin kind of proved himself in the game that they played on Thursday. but I still do think that Connor is the better option there when it comes to like fantasy stats and just in general.
Okay.
Rondale Moore's one of their wide receivers that they have. I think AJ Green their wide
AJ
receiver
Green,
one.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, Hopkins.
Oh, no,
is.
DeAndre Hopkins is.
Then
Excuse me,
AJ Green.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Good that he's back, by
Yeah.
the way. He's good that he's back. He's gonna help that team get better. But yeah, I agree. They're probably not gonna be the best.
Yeah, but I've been seeing Rondale Moore pop up. I think he's their wide receiver 3. He's someone that I have personally been looking at, also because I have him on fantasy lineups. But I think he is strong. He has a strong future, whether it be in Arizona or not, just as a wide receiver. And I think he's only really been adding to the team this year.
Okay, nice. That was your 27, right?
Yeah, that was 27. Yep.
My 26 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know they just got a really impressive win against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, good on them. They're now like what 1-8 without T.J. Watt. Pretty impressive win. I think it's a pretty fluky win. Tom Brady did not play well that game, which maybe that's something that's gonna happen now. Maybe Tom Brady is not good anymore. I'm not sure. He hasn't been playing good. I still think they're definitely. This could be like their first season that they don't go at least 500 or above since like 2002. George Pickens is really good, but they're just not using that guy for whatever reason. Najee Harris, I think, is overrated. Honestly, I don't think he's as good as people say. He doesn't get points. Kenny Pickett, he's okay, but I don't like Kenny Pickett and like Mitchell Trubisky. It's like right there for me because I mean, what he got injured, right? He has a concussion, right? I don't know if he's playing this week against the Dolphins.
I do not think he is.
So yeah, they're putting back in Mitchell Trubisky, who I actually really wanted to be. I wanted Mitchell Trubisky to be good. I wanted him to work out. Doesn't look like it's gonna work out. I do trust the coaching staff, though. Obviously, I think they have a lot of good guys over there, which is actually I think the reason why they probably won this game is because their coaching staff is just that good. But I just don't think this team's going anywhere. I think it's going to be their first season in a while where they're not above 500.
So for me, in my 26, I have the Browns. I almost said the Ravens, but I have the Browns for a bunch of reasons. One, if you look at their schedule, I don't think that they are going to be winning a lot of games. They are facing the Ravens this week, the Bengals next week, Dolphins after that, the Bills, the Bucks, Bengals again, Ravens again. They have a few easy games at the end of the year, Saints, Commanders, Steelers, Texans, but honestly, for me, their team is not strong enough to beat some of these teams. You literally have some of the biggest NFL team names out there right now that they're playing against, and they just don't have stronger players. They have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt as running backs, and they are probably the strongest aspects of this team. They just picked up Amari Cooper, which is good for them at least because he's been doing all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not. I don't have high hopes that they're going to be winning a lot of games, especially in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and then say what you want to about Watson. I just want to know, like, do you think the team is going to be substantially better with Watson, or do you think they're going to kind of be around the same?
I don't think it makes much of a difference for me, at least. We'll see though.
I will say, I thought the defense was going to be, like, really good this year. It's not looking too good this year. Like, losing...
No.
What was it? What was the score, like, against the Patriots?
Which one?
The Patriots.
The Patriots?
Score,
yeah.
Let me see.
I think the Patriots scored, like, around 40.
Yeah, 38-15. And
38-15. I'm looking at it now.
They have the pieces on defense, It just does not seem like they're really doing it. The record's 2-4 right now. I could actually still see them getting third place in their division. I think, like, near the end of the season, they might be able to get a couple games above the Steelers. But they do have a pretty brutal schedule coming up. Like, playing the Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, Bills, Buccaneers back to back is pretty tough. But most of those, the Bills game is a home game, the Ravens game is a home game, the Dolphins game is a home game. But, like, none of those are guaranteed wins. They could go 0-5 in that. I agree that they might not be good. But let's see. What was the number we were on? 24?
26. Now we're on 25.
25. I have the New Orleans Saints at 25. I honestly don't know if Andy Dalton is better than Jameis Winston. I'm not sure. I mean, that game wasn't good for him. But one of those pick sixes was not his fault. I will say that. It, like, bounced off the receiver's hand or something like that, right? And then it got intercepted. But he did not play good. I don't know. Was Jameis Winston hurt that game? Because he was on the sideline and he had pads on during that game. But
yeah,
I just know the team. Chris Olave though was looking pretty good. I
Mhm.
think he's one of the stars, but like their team just cannot. It just has so many injuries on it right now. Like Michael Thomas
Mhm.
was out. Who on defense? Who I know there was like a lot of defensive guys out. Um, trying to think. Was Tyrann Mathieu wasn't out that game, right? He was in there, right?
No, I think he was in.
You think he was in? But like that's like they have like Cameron Jordan and Tyrann Mathieu on defense. I'm pretty sure that the rest of the guys are like injured, and they had like the
Yeah.
cornerbacks had to go up against like DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green, two like season
Yeah.
picks. I think this team, like the Panthers' only win is against the New Orleans Saints, so they're not, they just can't be that good. That's why they're at 25.
Yeah, my 25 is also the Saints. Funny enough, I guess we match up on some of them, but yeah, for me, they got too many injuries right now to be good. Alvin Kamara finally is back, but
Mhm.
God knows how long that'll be till he gets another injury. I don't know if he'll get one, but
Yeah,
if he does. But even when he's been back, he's finally kind of showing his colors these last few weeks. But when he came back initially, he was not playing well.
yeah,
Taysom Hill has also not been very, very good for this team. But yeah.
yeah. And let's see, my 24. Now I'm talking about them is the Arizona Cardinals. I always thought Kyler Murray was a bit overrated. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. I think I think he's asking way too much for his contract. He played really well against the Raiders. I'll give him that. But like only putting up 9 points against the Seahawks, while other teams have put up like 40 points against them, and you have guys like AJ Green is like inexcusable. Who else have they played? I'm trying to think. They played the Saints. They played the Seahawks. They played the Rams, where they put up like what 10 points I think at home. Their home record, by the way, is atrocious, right? I think like it was like been a year to the day on the Saints game was their first home win in a year, which is like crazy. They're not good at home. They choked up against the Eagles. They actually for a while were tied up against the Panthers in that game. And then finally in the fourth quarter they finally rattled that game off. But they have a couple seemingly tough games coming up, like against the Vikings. The Seahawks will be a tough game. Rams, 49ers, Chargers. They play the Buccaneers as well. So I think it's going to be pretty hard for them to be above 500. I think I had them like at 8 and 9 at the beginning of the season, but they might even be worse than that. So yeah, I'm at 24.
Hmm. My 24th are let's see. My 24th are the Broncos.
Ooh.
So for me, even though I would like to root for the Broncos, I got Russell Wilson backup quarterback on fantasy, so I'm kind of hoping he does well because I'm gonna have to put him in eventually. I think he's out right now. He did not play.
He's not gonna play this week. He did play against the
He's not.
Chargers.
He's not playing this week. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, I don't think that they've lost to teams that they should not be losing to,
Mm-hmm.
which just kind of scares me. They lost against the Colts. That game was kind of atrocious. I'm
Yeah,
not
that
gonna
was
lie.
really bad. Like what the fans were like leaving before overtime even began. It was a really bad
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
Yeah.
They lost by a lot to the Raiders, and I'll have stuff to say about the Raiders later when I get to them. But that was a game that they definitely could have won.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, a lot of their players are just kind of mid. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. Like Melvin Gordon is nothing special. Same with Jerry Judy. I mean, like these are
People
like
were
some of
like
the starters.
hyping up Jerry Judy inside of the fourth season. I never really thought they were either both that amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually have them at 23. So I basically with everything you said. The offense has really no excuse to be as bad as it is, honestly. Even though I just said their players are kind of mid, like with Russell Wilson at your quarterback position, who's apparently like supposed to be really good, and like what they haven't even put up. I think the game they put the most points up was like 23. I would
Yeah.
hate to be a Broncos defensive player right now. I feel so bad for her, the Broncos defense, the holding teams like 10 and still losing or whatever. Like imagine like telling your defense you're gonna let up like 9 points in regulation and you're still going to lose the game.
Mhm.
That's crazy. I did think some of the defensive guys got injured. I think Bradley Chubb got injured, so they, you know, could be. The thing about the Broncos though, the worst thing about the Broncos is it seems like whenever they play another team, they bring that team down to their level, like every single time. Like the Chargers, they drag down with them to like a terrible all their games at prime time. Thank goodness they don't have a prime time game till like December. Like
Mhm.
now it's terrible to watch. Like the Colts game was awful. like the Seahawks game. That was awful. They drag every single team down with them. I really want the Broncos to be good. I actually have a Russell Wilson jersey. I liked Russell Wilson for a while, and it's just like everything just is just getting ruined for him right now. So yeah, I have him at 23.
For my 23rd, I got the finally. I feel like it's been a bit too long or a bit. What am I saying? It's been a while, like since I feel like I should have rated these guys, but I put them up high because I do have high hopes for them. It's the Las Vegas Raiders. So
They're so much better than the record. I'll say that.
they are so. That is the Raiders are the team that they are. Like you just said, they're so much better than their record. They got Derek Carr, quarterback, and Devontae Adams, wide receiver. That alone is a deadly combo. You know, Derek Carr's a quarterback who likes to pass a lot, so having Devontae Adams there as a wide receiver is great. The problem I have with them and why I'm rating them low is because they're not using Devontae Adams enough. I feel like they're running a lot. You know, they've been using Josh Jacobs, and that's all right because Josh Jacobs has been proving himself. You know, he's been playing well. Darren Waller's there as well. They're passing to him a lot. I'm not really sure why. He's all right as well, but yeah, they're passing to players like Matt Collins. Like, why? I didn't understand that. He's literally their wide receiver 3. You know, at least pass to Hunter Renfrow. You know, Matt Collins has been doing okay, but they need to pass to Devontae like a lot more than they have been. Because he's obviously a star player. You know, you see he's gotten touchdowns. They had a bye week already, so they've played 5 games or have they? Yeah, they played 5 games.
They're 1-4 right now. They played 5 games.
And they're 1-4. And if you look at that, out of the 5 games they played, Devontae Adams has gotten a touchdown in 4 of them. And in like at least 2 or 3 of the games, he's only had three targets. Like he had like 5 targets, but three catches and like one of the games I think it was last week that he played. He had or not last week because that was with their bye week, but week 5 when they played, Devontae had 3 receptions, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns, meaning 2 of the passes that they had to Devontae Adams that were complete were touchdowns, and they were both like 50 to 100-yard passes. It's ridiculous that they're not utilizing him as much as they are because he's kind of the key to them winning this year.
I also think Josh Jacobs is pretty good. I have him on a fantasy team. He's been getting me points as well.
He is good.
That Chiefs game, no excuse. They should have won that game. They were up like 17-0 at one point. They could not guard Travis Kelce in the end zone. They could guard him everywhere else besides the end zone. It was like 25 yards with 4 touchdowns, which is like terrible for the Raiders defense. Like you can guard that dude anywhere else on the field, but like the end zone, they could not. He was always open. It was crazy. But yeah, the Raiders so much better than 1-4 record. But like if they keep playing like this, the thing that separates good teams from bad teams is the good teams can close out games. The Raiders have thus far not been able to do that. You know. I don't know. Do they have an easy schedule coming up? I'm not sure. Hold
on. Let me see. They play Texans, Saints, Jaguars, Colts, Broncos, Seahawks, Chargers.
Like they could go undefeated in that stretch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
really.
Texans, that's probably a win. Saints probably a win. Jaguars should be a win. Colts, that should be a win. The Broncos, Raiders, they played the Broncos already. They played the Broncos in Denver, so I'm not sure about that. Seahawks, that's a toss-up. Chargers, that's a toss-up. Rams, that's another one's kind of Patriots. They should win that game. Like, they could come out of this still, like, positive. I do believe in the Raiders. I just think, like, the coaching staff's, like, what, Josh McDaniels, is that his name? He's had, like, one coaching stint in Denver, didn't work. I think he's going to get fired after this season because they're going to, like, look at this team, then look at the record and be like, what the heck happened, dude? You know, I think he's getting fired. But, yeah, they're so much better than 1-4 record. Anyway, what are we at now? 23, right? Oh, no, 22. 22, right? At 22. Or no, wait. 23, right?
3, 4.
No, 22. Sorry, my bad. At 22, I have the Seattle Seahawks, who are somehow 3-3 right now. I thought they'd be terrible. But Geno Smith.
I'm on 21, just for the record. I'm on 21.
Okay, I'm on 22. Geno Smith's been playing really good this year, actually. You know, so shout out to him. What's his name? Wooden, like Tyron Wooden or whatever. The cornerback's been playing really good. I thought this team could go like 0-16. I thought they were going to be a terrible team this year. And they're a pretty scrappy team. They've been playing pretty well in all the games they played. I think basically every single one's been close at least. If they haven't won them, I think every single game's been at least pretty close. So I think this team could go like 8-9, 9-8, and now it's just crazy saying that. It's like people are actually starting to be like, maybe it was Pete Carroll all along and not Russell Wilson, because they're doing like decent with a team that isn't really that good, So I'm at 22.
Yeah. For my 21, I got the Steelers, putting them in finally. For me, Kenny Pickett's all right. I think he's been having, obviously, like, he's been having a good season for where he's at right now. I think he's only going to get better as time goes along. Completely agree with you that Najee Harris is overrated, which, I mean, when you look at the rest of their lineup, they don't have many other strong players. Like, they have George Pickens and Deontay Johnson at wide receiver, but Deontay Johnson's not been putting up good numbers at all, and George Pickens not been putting up much better than him. Pat Freiermuth is probably one of their best players at this point, which is the tight end. He's been doing all right. He was just out with a concussion for 2-3 weeks, but he's coming back this week, so hopefully he'll put up a good performance, but we'll see.
Okay. Who do they play? Who are they playing like the next coming weeks?
They're playing. Let's see. They're playing the Dolphins this week, then the Eagles, then the Saints, Bengals, Colts, Falcons,
all, like,
Ravens.
Questionable games, kind of.
Yeah, they're all up in the air. Honestly, there's not really many easy games in their schedule, apart from when they play the Panthers. But yeah, most of their games are up in the air.
Bad for them. All right, my 21 is the Cleveland Browns. I think that the pieces are there on the team to be good. I don't really want to get into the Deshaun Watson situation, but he is a better quarterback than Brissett. I think that's pretty, you can pretty much say that and no one's going to get mad at you. The only problem is that their schedule is very, very tough in the next coming weeks, I thought they were going to have a better record than 2-4 through this part of the year. The Jets lost one of the worst losses I've ever seen in my entire life. That was terrible. And I mean, losing to the Patriots, who aren't they're pretty mediocre, right? They're not like the best team ever at home, and letting them put up 38 points on you. That was pretty bad. I'm trying to think of the other losses they had. They lost to the Falcons, who maybe the Falcons are good this year, and they barely beat the Panthers, who are like the worst team, by like a last second field goal. With the Panthers are a terrible team right now, so I don't know what to think about this team, honestly. I think they can win. That team can be good, but they're just not using the pieces that they have. Like Amari Cooper, whenever I put on a Browns game, I never see that dude do anything. It's he'll get a touchdown and leave. He's not there. It's really weird. So yeah, I'm at 21.
Yeah. Also, just for the record, I'm pretty sure we have now all now that we're getting into 20s and 20th and below picks, I think we've all picked the same teams. I think that all of the teams are still left on the board, just for the record. We've all, from 32 to 20, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I understand.
We've all picked the same teams. Anyway,
I've not picked the Las Vegas Raiders yet. That's the only one that we haven't done yet.
Oh, you haven't done the Raiders yet. Gotcha. Who did you pick instead of the Raiders?
What do you mean?
Or not instead of them, but who have you picked? Falcons, Seahawks, Colts?
I haven't picked the Falcons yet.
Falcons, gotcha.
Okay.
All right. Sure. Yeah, speaking of that, Falcons are my 20th pick.
Right.
For me, Marcus Mariota has never been anything special. I don't think that he's good at all. Drake London is probably the best player on their team right now, I would say.
Who's their cornerback? He's AJ
Marcus Mariota.
AJ Terrell, right?
Cornerback. Gotcha. Yeah, AJ Terrell.
I mean, that game against and actually, to prove your point, games where Marcus Mariota hasn't thrown more than 10 passes, they're undefeated, and I'm pretty sure. So that just kind of goes to show that he's not the savior of the franchise, which I kind of wanted him to be because I actually liked him. But yeah, I agree with you. What I'll say about them is they're a very scrappy team. Every single game they're in, they're close. If that bad ref call went their way against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they could be first in their division right now. So.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree. I do not trust Marcus Mariota to a closeout game.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so for me, is it 20? At 20, yep, 20, I have the New England Patriots. I think they're one of the most mid teams in the league, honestly. Bailey Zappi's actually been playing decently. They play the Bears in Foxborough, so that should be a win. But like they play like the Jets, who like they could lose to the Jets. It's not like a guaranteed win, you know. The Colts, the Vikings, the Bills, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Bengals. They don't have a very easy schedule. I do think eventually that the team will be exposed. You know, I just don't think they're really that good. I think they have one of those like mediocre rosters in the entire league.
Mm-hmm. For my 19th pick, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. So we got Geno Smith, who's one of the best players, a quarterback. He has been playing very, very good. I've been impressed with how he's been playing. Did not expect that from him. But when I look at the rest of the roster, you know, you got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, even like some of the running backs, like DJ Dallas and Noah Fant, Kenneth Walker. You know, these are players that honestly I don't think are going to be playing consistently. You know, they're very inconsistent players. I'm with the exception of Tyler Lockett. I think that he's been pretty consistent. But DK Metcalf, you know, you can expect, you know, 30 points for him one game and 0 in the next. But I don't have much faith in this team. I think that their schedule is not awful. You know, they play some pretty good teams, and then other weeks they play teams where it is up in the air for them. But their standings, you know, they're 3-3 in a division that's basically all 3-3 if you really think about it, because Niners, Rams, and Seahawks have yet to play this week, and I expect a loss from most, if not all of them this week, because Niners are playing the Chiefs.
That's a loss. Who the Rams play?
Rams are playing the Niners, or not. Wait, the Rams are playing the. So excuse me.
The 49ers are playing the Chiefs.
49ers playing the
Cardinals
Chiefs.
already played this week. The
Rams
Seahawks
are on
Chargers.
bye.
Oh yeah,
Rams are on bye, and the Seahawks are playing
Chargers, right?
Chargers. So that I can expect that this division will be all 3-4, 3-3, because the Rams are on bye by the end of this week. So this is one that it's up in the air for who is actually going to win this division. Personally, I think that the 49ers are going to go away with it, but we're going to see for that.
I think it could come down to like a game or two, and since the 49ers own the Rams in the regular season, the 49ers probably will win the division. Yeah. So let's see. At 19, I can't believe they're this high. Maybe they should be higher. I'm not sure. I have the New York Jets at 19. They've been playing out of their mind recently. Robert Saleh has been coaching really well. Sauce Gardner is starting to look like maybe a defensive rookie of the year candidate. Zach Wilson has not been messing up. He's not being terrible. He's doing what he has to do to win the games and stuff like that. Who's the running back again? What's his name? Breece Hall, right?
Breece Hall, yeah, Breece Hall.
He's been playing really good as well. I mean, beating the Packers in Lambeau is pretty crazy, honestly, especially if you're the Jets. But that was one of the worst games Aaron Rodgers has played in Lambeau. But beating the Packers in Lambeau, not a lot of teams can say they've done that, you know, and the Jets just did that. They've had a pretty impressive win. The Browns one was pretty fluky, but the fact that they're able to somehow win that game is pretty crazy. I think they could actually. I don't think they're as good as their 4-2 record, but they could end up maybe being above 500. I don't know if their schedule's too tough. Let me check real quick. But I think that they're trending upward. I think that they in a couple years, the Broncos don't have a quarterback playing this week, so they could potentially beat the Broncos. You know, the Patriots game, that's up in the air. Bills obviously gonna beat them, but they play the Bears, the Lions, the Jaguars, the Seahawks. Those are all the games that they could possibly win, so they might actually have a good record this year, which is really weird. But yeah. So the Jets somehow make it up all the way to 19th for me.
Yeah, for me, Jets are 18. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say that you're pretty spot on with basically everything that I would have to say about the Jets. So we can move on to your 18.
18. I got the Tennessee Titans. And I think that they're just I don't know what to think about this team, dude. I think they could win the division, which is why they're as high as they are. But I still think the Colts could win that division too. I think it's very up in the air. It's I can't really name a lot of people on the team because they're just I don't Ryan Tannehill is pretty good, but losing AJ Brown, pretty bad honestly. He was one of the And it's really weird because they were like somehow, I don't know how it happened, like the number 1 seed in the AFC last year. They shouldn't have been, but they had it. They had the team there. They beat the Rams and the Bills last year, but they're losing to the Giants at home week 1. All this stuff. I think that when I come to ranking these teams, it's like, okay, do I think this team would beat this team? And I just think the Titans have the edge over some of these worst teams in the NFL. So they're here at 18. But I do think that the Colts will win the South, which is why I don't have them as high as the Colts.
Okay. Well, for my am I on 17 now?
Mm-hmm.
I have the Colts. So for me, Jonathan Taylor's been having a bad season. I'll just go ahead and say that. I mean, obviously he was out for a bit, but now that he's back, he's not been playing well. They got Matt Ryan as their QB1. I think he's doing an all right job with what he has so far. Michael Pittman has been definitely proving himself. I think he's going to continue to play very, very well this season because he's been having a good season already. Deion Jackson, this last week, I actually picked up Deion Johnson in my fantasy league. He played amazing. He proved himself. He's their running back too. So obviously he's not going to be as good as Jonathan Taylor because that's kind of that's a hard act to follow up. But he's been playing all right. I think that he has a lot of potential. And for me, this team is just it. I feel like the Colts are just kind of there this season, and I feel like them winning a division is definitely up in the air between them and the Titans. I think we're going to see. For me right now, I have the Titans winning the division ahead of them, but we're going to definitely see it's going to be up in the air because their tie against the Texans might come back to haunt them. I'm going to be honest with you when it comes to winning the division.
Maybe. All right. People are going to call me a hater, okay? But at 17, I had the New York Giants. I don't care. I don't care that they're 5-1. I think that they're one of the biggest frauds in the NFL right now. Eventually, Daniel Jones is going to mess up and prove why he's not going to be the starter there anymore. They have Saquon back, which is good, and Brian Daboll should be coach of the year. But that team is not good. That team is not good. The Ravens can't close out a game for anything, dude, I swear. And the bad thing is that the Giants could still win like 10 games this year because their schedule is cheeks. Like, let me try to see their games coming up. It's like really, I think they play they play the Jaguars this week, then the Seahawks, then the Texans, then the Lions. Those could be like back-to-back wins. And then the end of the year is kind of where it kind of gets tough to play the Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles, Commanders, Vikings, Colts, and Eagles. People are starting to apologize for the Giants. I'm not apologizing for anything. I don't think they're that good. So I'm at 17. But they're 5-1. You can only play who's ahead of you. But I think they're going to be exposed sometime soon this season.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, am I on 16 already?
You're 16.
Or am I on 17?
16.
So for my 16th, I got the Patriots. So you already put them in. For me, obviously the Patriots have not been the same since Tom Brady left and Gronk left and all those other guys who were there. But Mac Jones is doing all right this season. I think he's having an all right season. But like I said, their quarterback game is probably not going to be as strong as it was for many, many years, not in the foreseeable future. When it comes to their other players, Jacoby Myers has been having an all right season. Ramondre Stevenson's also been doing okay. But I don't have a lot of faith in this team. I think that they're in a hard division to win, obviously. They're up against Bills 5-1, Jets 4-2, Dolphins 3-3 with an injured Tua who might be coming back this week. I'm not sure if he is.
I think they did. They did clear him.
So then, yeah. So at this point, I don't have faith. I think they're probably going to get last in their division. I doubt they're going to make playoffs, but I do put them ahead of most of the other teams that I put just because I see them having better standings than everyone else when it comes to the end because they have games that they definitely can win. They're playing against the Bears this week. I think that they'll win that game. Patriots versus Jets is probably up in the air for me.
They could
Colts and them.
They could split the series probably against that one.
Yeah. Yep. Colts and Patriots could definitely be up in the air game as well. Even against the Vikings, I think it's up in the air a bit. Probably leans towards Vikings, but it's definitely up in the air.
Definitely. All right. So for me, at 16, I got the Colts. I actually lean more towards the Colts winning the division just because I I trust Matt Ryan more than I trust him. Like he played really good this week. He played or last week, like what was like 58 passes at him, something like that, something crazy like that. Again, it was like against the Jaguars, so it's like how good was the win? But I mean the Colts are just like so up and down. That Broncos win, honestly, they should have tied that game. I thought it would have been really fun if they tied that game. But I mean, they play the Titans this week, which that might decide who wins the division. But they have some pretty winnable games, like the Commanders, the Patriots, the Steelers. So yeah, and then they play the Texans last week. But it's kind of shaky because they play like the Raiders, the Eagles, the Chargers. But I do think they have like the possibility because like they're undefeated at home right now. They beat the Chiefs at home. So it's I just don't know what to think about this team. They've had like really good wins like against the Chiefs at home. But then like these really terrible losses, like against like losing to the Jaguars 24-0, something like that. So I still think ultimately I think they will come out of that division. Honestly, like I wouldn't be like shocked if the winner of the AFC South has a losing record. I would not be shocked. But yeah, I think they'll come out of that division on top.
Yeah, for me, 15. I have the Green Bay Packers. Now
I got the Green Bay Packers at 15 as well.
So let me just say before you say what your opinions on them are.
Go
But Aaron Rodgers has not been playing good this season. He's not been playing good at all. It's time for him to retire, I think. I think he's done because he's not been playing well. It's bad when the best hope that I have for this team is Romeo Doubs, who's a rookie. Like, literally, he's the player that I'm looking at the most. Aaron Jones has been playing okay, but, you kind of expect him to play decent, if not good, throughout. But Romeo Doubs has been really proving himself. And this team has not been winning. They're 3-3 now in a division where, Vikings are 5-1. So I wouldn't be shocked if they came back and, have a close contender with the Vikings. But Vikings definitely have the edge to win NFC North right now, especially looking at their schedule because they do play some pretty easy teams, teams that they can definitely beat. But we will see.
I mean, the Giants and Jets were games that everyone thought the Packers had easy wins against. So like I really don't know what it is about this team. I agree that I'm at 15. Like I still want to trust Aaron Rodgers that he can close out games, but that Jets game, one of the worst games probably in his entire career, especially one of the worst games at Lambeau. I mean, they had like a 13 or something like that, 14 game. Like they hadn't lost in Green Bay except for the 49ers game in a long time. And it just these wins are really inexcusable. Letting the Giants beat you, who are like having like DoorDash employees as wide receivers or whatever. I get it's an England game. I was able to like excuse that, but then after that, going back to your home field and then losing to the Jets, that's kind of more like, okay, what's going on? I thought the Packers defense was one of the most hyped up, like unnecessarily hyped up defenses before. Like I saw a lot of people drafting the Packers defenses pretty highly, and I was like, no, don't do that. They're my backup defense, but like I had them like really far in the draft. So yeah, I don't know anything about this team. But then again, I still want to believe in Aaron Rodgers that he can. I don't think they'll win the division, but I could see them maybe fighting for like a wild card spot. But a 3-3 record, especially with the teams that they played, is not good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So for me, 14th, I got the Titans. So for me, Tannehill and Derrick Henry are probably the biggest hopes that this team has. Robert Woods is also there. I do like I said earlier, I do think that they're going to win their division against Colts, Jaguars, and Texans. AFC South is really, I feel like they're like the old NFC East, but I mean NFC East was not as bad as they were in previous years, but they're still probably the worst division in the NFL right now. If I'm looking at it consistently with their team records, and I don't think the Titans have high hopes. I think that they will make the playoffs personally, but I don't see them getting if they win the division. Otherwise, I don't see them making the playoffs.
If they do make the playoffs, they're going to bounce first round in their own building. So
exactly, yep, completely agree. So that was my 14th, and if I just want to go on to my 13th real quick, just because you just talked about them, I'll just hit on them real quick. New York Giants, agreed with you completely that their 5-1 record is just basically a sham.
They're the luckiest team I think I've ever seen, like ever.
They're very, very, very lucky. They literally do not have wide receivers. Saquon is their only saving grace. Daniel Jones has been playing okay, but in order for this team to win the NFC East, which I don't think that they will, I think they are literally the third team that I think is going to win the NFC East. Like, they would be my third pick to win. But I don't see them winning the NFC East. I don't even see them making the playoffs. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, they have a pretty cupcake schedule, so I actually like see them sneaking the playoffs but getting like destroyed. But yeah, I mean, I agree. So I'll get my 14 and 13. My 14 is the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they blew their one chance to win the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going back for a while.
Yep.
They have the pieces. Like, I think Joe Burrow was one of the most overrated players coming out of 2021 because IT did not do a lot, I think, to win those playoff games. I think it was more like on the defense in Jamar Chase. How do you upgrade your offensive line and it gets worse? You know what I'm saying? It's like it doesn't matter if you're like Trent Williams. If you go to Cincinnati, you're just automatically terrible at your job. That Miami game of Tua Stayden, I do think they would have lost, which would have moved them down 0-3. They barely beat the Saints, and the Saints aren't looking that good. They barely were able to beat them. I don't even know if they beat the Atlanta Falcons at home. The Atlanta Falcons are a pretty scrappy team, you know. So we'll just see against even Tyler Boyd. Jesse Bates is okay. Just want to say though that Cooper Rush is in fact Joe Burrow's father. That game I went to was so hyped. We were like 7-point underdogs at home. But yeah, the Bengals started at 0-2. My hot take before the season, I don't know if I told anyone, was that the Bengals were not going to make the playoffs. I had the Ravens winning that division, and then I didn't think the Bengals would make the playoffs. I think the Bengals get with like a 9-8 record or something like that. They're 3-3 right now, right? I think they finally got to 500. But they have to play the Ravens, who the Ravens already beat them once. And I don't know if they'll do it again in Cincinnati, but they play the Falcons, which like a lot of people are saying is like a trap game for them. But the Falcons are scrappy. They play the Browns, which I don't think is a guaranteed win. Panthers, pretty much a guaranteed win. They play the Steelers in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers already beat them in their own building. They play the Titans. That's not a guaranteed win. They play the Chiefs. I don't think they beat the Chiefs. They play the Buccaneers. They play the Bills. They play the Ravens. I could see them ending with like barely over 500. And I especially with the AFC, how it is this year, I don't think that's going to be enough for them to make the playoffs. So, yeah, I had the Bengals at 14. And then you said you're 13 already, right? So, I'm going to say my 13.
Yeah.
I had Las Vegas Raiders at 13. I think the Las Vegas Raiders beat a lot of these teams. I think they beat the Bengals. I think they beat all these teams. I think they just been getting super unlucky and, blowing games that they should have won. I think the Las Vegas Raiders are a pretty good team if they use guys like Devontae Adams. Is Devontae Adams going to get suspended or something like that because of the whole deal that happened at Kansas City? I think the Raiders will actually probably beat the Chiefs at home since they played pretty well against them in Kansas City, which is a place that's very hard to win in. And I think they're going to have a bounce-back season. I don't think they're going to end under 500. I think they maybe like go 10-7 or something like that. Like they play the Texans, Raiders, Jaguars, Colts, Broncos, which could and Seahawks, which could all be possible wins, which would boost them to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6-4 or something like that. And then in the stretch, it gets kind of hard. You play the Chargers, Rams, Patriots, Steelers, 49ers, and Chiefs. But I do think this team is so much better than their record, and I think it would look really bad on the coaching staff if they end up with like a 6-11 record or something like that. But I do think they're a good football team. I have them at 11. Or not 11. I have them at 13. My bad.
13, yep.
Yeah.
For me, at 12, I have the New York Giants. Or no, I already said the Giants. Excuse me. At 12, I have the Miami Dolphins. So, we see that they're basically a lot of their game is relying on Tua. Now that he's back, I have more faith in them. But they are in a hard division to win. I personally think that the Bills are going to win the division. I think that most people probably think that. I'd be shocked almost if the Bills didn't win the division just because of how good they're playing and how good players they have. But we'll get to them a lot later. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have been doing a great game. I've been playing great games. And other than that, now that Tua's back, I have faith that they'll be doing all right, but I don't see them making the playoffs just because, I don't know, I feel like there's not a lot of room for them in the AFC.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are a pretty deadly wide receiver combination, obviously. I think with Tua, they're going to be good. They played really well. I mean, they beat the Bills. Like that's the Bills' one loss was against the Dolphins. I think that they're going to get destroyed when they play them in Buffalo, but when Tua's back, I think the team is good. The fact that they were kind of like close to beating the Vikings, and they have a pretty good team, I think says a lot about their team. I think Tua's starting to find it out. He didn't look good in his first couple years. I think he's starting to find it out. Do I think he's going to be the long term? I'm not sure. But the reason why I'm talking about them a lot is because I also have him at 12. I personally think if Tua was in the entire game, they would have beaten the Bengals. I think that they could maybe sneak into the playoffs, but the AFC is pretty wild this year, so they might just get out. But in these next coming years, when Tyreek gets more integrated in the offense, I think they're going to be contenders. So yeah, I'm at 12.
Mm-hmm.
So
for me in 11th, I have the LA Rams. So
me too.
For me, isn't that funny? And I think that's gonna be a common trend. We're gonna see a lot of our teams are the same going forward. But for me, the Rams are a team that you expect them to do well because you always expect the last Super Bowl champions to do well. I never really got their Super Bowl hype. I didn't think that they did that good at winning. They were kind of like almost like the pick to win. Cooper Kupp is the only player that they pass to. They've been passing a bit more to Tyler Higbee, their tight end, who I think is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He had a pretty trashy week last week, but other than that, everyone has an off week. But Cooper Kupp is kind of their only play right now. Cam Akers is trash. I got to be real with you.
I know a lot of people that drafted Cam Akers in their fantasy league.
Cam Akers is really bad. Matthew Stafford is nothing special in my opinion. I don't think he's anything.
I said this last year, and I said I think if Kirk Cousins was on the Rams team, they still would have won the Super Bowl. I didn't think Matthew Stafford had to do a lot to win, and it shows because he had a lot of interceptions last year, like 17 or something, right? So
yeah. All right, so I guess you're up with your next pick.
Is 10 for me is the Baltimore Ravens. These dudes cannot close out games for their lives, man. What was it, up 20 against Dolphins, lost. Up 20 against the Bills, lost. Up 10 against the Giants, lost. This team should really be 6-0 right now. I've been saying this for a while. I don't think Lamar Jackson is good enough to win a Super Bowl. I think it's 3rd and 8, in a playoff game and you're down. Do you really trust Lamar Jackson to get you the first down through the air? I don't know, man. That was one of I don't know if you watched the Giants and Baltimore game, but at the end that interception was so terrible. One of the worst I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
All he had to do was throw the ball away, and they could have gotten the ball back, but or it was tied or something like that. I'm not sure, but they totally blew that game. And I think Mark Andrews is the second best tight end in the league, or at least he's top 3 at least. They have the players there to do good, They just can't close out games, and that's what separates teams like the Eagles from teams like the Ravens. The Ravens could be 6-0 with the Eagles, but they just cannot close out games. So, but I do think they have a good team. I do think that they will win their division, which is why I'm at 10.
Mm-hmm. So for me, at number 10, I think are we at top 10? For me, my 10th spot are the Niners. So I have them right above the Rams. They're in the same division. For me, even with Trey Lance out of here, I think Jimmy Garoppolo can clutch up. I think he's been playing really well. So I do have hope for him. You got Deebo Samuel, who is someone that I think also plays amazing. And now they have Christian McCaffrey, so we're going to obviously see how that plays out because their running back game just got even stronger. George Kittle, again, an amazing player. And finally, Brandon Ayuk is someone else I have to mention because he's a good wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually I have the San Francisco 49ers at 9. So, the San Francisco 49ers love going from title contenders to being terrible, from year to year. Each game is a battle. Are they going to be good or are they going to be not? I think they're going to move down to 3 and 4, or what is it 2 and 4? Are they 2? Are they? Do they?
No. I think they're 3 and 3 right now.
I do think they lose against the Chiefs in San Francisco. I think Trent Williams is still out, right? I think Nick Bosa is still out. Still, even those guys were in, I still think they lose to the Falcons. I don't know what happened that game, but the thing that's crazy is, and I don't feel good about saying this, I like Trey Lance, but I think that team is better with Jimmy Garoppolo. I honestly, I believe that. I think he has more chemistry to that team. It seems like a good, not maybe like a locker room guy, but it seems like the guys on that team like him a lot. I don't get it. Like George Kittle loves that guy for some reason.
Yeah, yeah.
Which he should be doing a lot more because the George Kittle experience is not working for me right now on my fantasy league. But like I would like it if he threw to that guy more. I think it's going to be close between them and the Rams who wins the division. I think since they beat the Rams probably in SoFi that'll give them the edge to win the division. But I don't know, man. The 49ers they beat the Rams all they needed to until the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like they're a pretty up and down team. I do think they will be under 500 this week, but I still think they'll come back and win the division. So yeah, I have them at 9.
Mm-hmm. Am I on 9 or 8 now? I'm on 8. My 10 was my 9 was the Niners.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
You're 8, right?
My 8 are the Vikings. So, for me, Kirk Cousins has been having an alright season. You know, he's not been doing bad. So I do have faith there with their quarterback, but the rest of their team is kind of just forgettable and not been playing amazing for me. Justin Jefferson. Well, okay. I do have to mention Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook because they have been playing well. You know, they are players that, you know, they're big names in football, but they've not been doing amazing like as I think that people thought that they might be playing this year. They're 5-1. I have faith that they'll win their division. I don't know how far they go past that, but we will see. And other than that, you know, this is a team that I can see making maybe second round of playoffs and then getting out. I don't see them going further than that.
Yeah, what I will say is I don't think they're as good as their 5-1 record. I mean, to be fair, you can only play who's in front of you. But like almost like blowing a 20-point lead to the Bears at home was not a good look. The Vikings can't play well in prime time. That Eagles game should have been closer than that. They have the weapons there. Like I mean, Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers in the league. And Kirk Cousins is like at least an above average quarterback. You know, he can win you games. Again, I think they'll win the division. Do they get further than the wild card? I don't think they're going to get a first week bye. Who knows? They could get bounced out at home. Like if they go up against like a wild card team like the Cowboys, that's probably not a good matchup. Or like if the Rams end up being a wild card team, if they go up against like a team like that at home, they might get bounced in the wild card. But I also have them at 8. Obviously, one of the better teams in the league because they're 5-1. I think that they've separated themselves enough against the rest of the division to win. Especially, the Packers helped them out big time by losing to both New York teams back to back. So yeah, I have the Vikings at 8.
Mm-hmm. So for me, number 7, I got the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think that this is one of the highest teams that I have, with the exception of 2 teams, I believe, that I don't see them winning their division, but I do see them going far in playoffs. Joe Burrow is not having the season that he had last year, but there's still plenty of time for that to change. I don't see them winning their division. I see the Ravens winning their division, but Jamar Chase is amazing. T. Higgins is also great. Joe Mixon is a great player. So they have the lineup. They just need to play, and I think I personally I could see it happening the same way it did last year. That we have a team that makes the playoffs and they start to do well. They start to perform in the playoffs, and I could see them going pretty far just based on the fact that, you know, they are riding off of, if they lose, they're out. You know, I think that this is a team that does well under pressure.
Yeah, I agree. All right, my 7 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're 3-3, which really isn't good because they have like a lot of the pieces to be really well. Losing to the Steelers, I know it's in Pittsburgh, but still, like it's the Steelers, you know. Really not a good look. Like Tom Brady, hasn't really been playing well this season. They probably should have lost to the Falcons, which would have gave them like a 2-4 record. I mean, the Falcons could be first place in their division. They're actually tied with the Falcons right now. The Packers loss was pretty bad as well. The fact that the fact that the Saints game was pretty close for a while is also kind of bad. The Chiefs game as well, like, was not a good look. I get it's the Chiefs, but like you're at home, you've beat this team already with like, and that team is technically worse. That team is worse than the team they beat in the Super Bowl, and they still lost to them. So yeah, I think they have a couple wins like the Panthers, but like the Ravens, that's not a guaranteed win. The Rams, that's not a guaranteed win. They do play like the Seahawks, the Browns, but like the 49ers, that's another like not a guarantee win. And even the Falcons, if they went in Atlanta, seeing how the Falcons played against them at home, that's not a guaranteed win. They could have like I saw a lot of people like having them go like 13-4. I thought they're gonna be more close to like 11-6 or something like that. I think they're probably gonna be like a 4th seed or a 3 seed, like not a big powerhouse in the playoffs. I mean, we'll see if Tom Brady like does stuff he always does in the playoffs or not. But I mean, a lot of these games have besides the Cowboys game, a lot of these wins have been pretty sloppy wins, and so yeah, I have them 7.
Mm-hmm. All right, so for me, number 6, I got. Oh wait, am I on number 7? No, I am on number 6.
6.
I got the Chargers. So, Chargers are a team that they have a very very deadly lineup. They are a team that I could see them winning against any. I could see them winning against any team, no matter like Bills, Eagles, any of the Chiefs, any of these huge teams. Justin Herbert is a great player. Keenan Allen, now that he's back, is going to be a deadly force, and same with Austin Eckler, who has just been pretty consistent this season. They have a team that I think can go far. Although, you can always I don't see them winning their division either. I do see the Chiefs winning. So they will be, one of the
one
of a one of the
wild scary wild card teams though. So
yeah, that is the thing, is that I can see them pulling out a win anywhere, but I put them here just because I feel like they are a very unpredictable team. They're probably the most unpredictable NFL team that is this good, which is something that you don't see for a team that has a record of 4-2 right now. So
yeah, all right. At 6, I also have I have the Chargers at 6. I could actually see them like possibly winning their division. They played pretty well against the Chiefs in Kansas City. I don't think they will. I could say that they played pretty well against Kansas City. In Kansas City, they could possibly pull out a win against them in SoFi. And I don't think the only thing is like the Chargers lost like terribly against like the Jaguars, but like everyone has a bad loss every now and again. I'm not gonna hold it to them, but like that could like later down the line be a game that like costs them home field advantage in the playoffs. Like the Texans game last year cost them the playoffs. But they do play the Seahawks, the Falcons, the Cardinals, Dolphins, Titans. Like not too tough opponents. I could see them coming out of this with like 11-6 maybe, but I don't think that'll be enough for them to win. But I still do think they're one of the better teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. So I think I made a mistake somewhere along the way, because Chargers were actually my number 7. Cowboys are my number 6. Okay. So there we go. Just drop the bomb right there. Cowboys I have in 6, which I think is pretty fair to them. They're not gonna win their division. Spoiler alert, they're not gonna win.
We'll see.
Eagles' schedule is pretty stacked, and I don't see Eagles losing.
Wait, so you do admit that the Eagles do have a cupcake schedule, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, our schedule is pretty trash this year. I mean, our Cowboys are probably our biggest opponent right now. So I definitely agree that our schedule is easy, but that does not make up for the fact that our team is bad. I'll get to Eagles later, but let me move on to the Cowboys and why I put them in
5, right? Or 6.
Yeah, which is no 6. Yeah, this is my 6.
Okay.
Dak Prescott's back. That's a lot of their team right there.
Cooper Prescott owns NFC East, man. We'll see what happens week 16.
We will see. Dak Prescott's back now, so that's a big plus for them. CeeDee Lamb has been playing very good. Ezekiel Elliott's been playing good. And we're gonna see how the rest of the team plays eventually as the weeks go down, but I think that a lot of these games that they're going to be playing now are not going to be very indicative of how the team plays. I think it's going to be mainly just getting back into how they play against the Lions, against the Bears, even against the Packers. These are teams that we expect to see wins from the Cowboys, but with Dak coming back, I think it's going to be honestly best for them that they have easy games coming up, so that they can, ease back into how they're going to play with a whole new quarter. I mean, I wouldn't say new quarterback, but with a returning quarterback that they have, because they haven't played with Dak at all this year, right?
Yeah, he's played. So real quick, I want to make up something. I actually messed up. So like the Chargers were my 5. I forgot to like put the Falcons in somewhere, but the Chargers were my 5. Buccaneers were 6. Minnesota Vikings were 7. Anyway. I'm at 5 now, right? So, Or no, sorry. 5 was the Chargers, so we're going to 4 now, right?
Yep.
Number 4, I have the Dallas Cowboys at number 4. One of the best defenses in the league, maybe one of the best defenses in the league. Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year. Hopefully at least. Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year. Dak is back. Dak does have to win this game against the Lions, though, or else he's going to get flamed. But yeah, the Cowboys do have a pretty favorable schedule coming up. I think they play the Bears and the Lions back-to-back at home. Now, they do play the Packers in Lambeau, which I was scared about for a while. But it's like, I don't know, the Packers have been playing not that good, so that might be a win there. They play the Vikings. They already beat the Vikings last year with Cooper Rush. That could be possibly a win there. They play the Giants at home. They're going to be the Giants. They play the Colts, Texans, Jaguars, Eagles at home. We'll see what happens there. Then to finish out the season, they play the Titans and Commanders. So I see wins across the board here, honestly. If Dak Prescott, if this team plays to their also run game very well. Ezekiel Elliott played very well against the Eagles. Tony Pollard's been playing very well. The run game is good. I actually hope the play calling stays kind of similar when Dak's back. I think the best thing the Cowboys can do is keep the same play calling with Dak that they did with Cooper, with Rush. I mean, because I don't want Dak to throw like 60 passes a game. I don't want that. I want him to throw like not a lot, like enough, obviously, but I still want there to be a consistent run game as well. The one thing I think our defense does to work on is the run game. They have not played very well against the run game. They let Daniel Jones run all over them against the Giants. When it mattered, they let Jalen Hurts get first downs in the Eagles game. So I do think they need to work on the run game. But other than that, Trevon Diggs has been pretty locked up. The D-line has been looking very well. I think every single one of them has a sack at this point in the season. I think they're the team with the most sacks. I'm not for sure, but I think they have the team with the most sacks in the NFL. Mike Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year. And a lot of guys on the defense that, like, maybe not have the biggest names have been stepping up and been playing really well. So, yeah, I have the Cowboys at 4.
Mm-hmm. My number 4, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that they will be on top of their division. I think that's basically guaranteed with them because they're not in a good division. Tom Brady is, I always am going to say Tom Brady's overrated, but he's been playing all right. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are a good wide receiver combo. People have been saying, Julio Jones will come in and do well, but I don't think he's coming in anytime soon. He hasn't played at all this season, so.
Kind of like the Titans, yeah.
And Leonard Fournette, I think he's been playing decent. What he's been doing, what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But yeah, I see them winning their division. I don't see them doing much past that, but I put them at 5 for a reason. I can see them going decently far. I don't see them winning any Super Bowls this season, but we will see.
So yeah, the Buccaneers at 5, right?
5, yeah.
So who's your 4? Because I just gave my 4.
My 4th are the Baltimore Ravens. I have them up high. I am on the Ravens train this year for sure. Not at all because I have Lamar Jackson in fantasy. Not at all, definitely not. But Ravens, they need to start closing out games. They need to start getting wins at the end because they've been choking wins that they could have had really easily. They got Rashad Bateman and J.K. Dobbins, who are 2 of the strongest players, but they haven't even been playing that well. We're going to see how they do.
Yeah, like I said, if they could close out games, they could be a 6-0 team right now, And that beating the Bills would have looked really well against them if they'd actually beat the Bills and kept that. It was like 20-3. It was crazy. Especially the Dolphins game. They were up like 40-20 or something. They just got it. And not being able to close out against the Giants was pretty bad, which is why they were at 10 and not one of these higher-ranked teams. Because, when it comes playoff time, you're going to need to close out these games. And it could possibly cost them home field advantage if they can't close out these games. But
yeah.
You just gave your number 4. My number 3 is the Philadelphia Eagles. I do not have them higher than number 3. I think I'm going to keep saying this. Even if I'm wrong, I'm going to keep saying this. I think this is a case. I think this is like a 2020 Steelers case or a 2021 Cardinals case. Steelers went 11-0, got bounced first round. Cardinals went 7-0, got bounced first round. Thing is, though, Eagles could stay undefeated for a while because they have a pretty easy schedule in the next coming weeks. I think their toughest game probably is when they play the Cowboys again, Week 16. No team is perfect. They might mess up. Jalen Hurts might have a bad game or something like that, and they could have maybe one loss. I want to play Philadelphia in the playoffs in Philadelphia. So yeah. They have a pretty easy schedule. They could go like, I don't know, maybe like, they really could go 14-2. They really could because this schedule, I'm telling you, it was like Walter White in a lab type stuff. I mean, they made this like, hold up, let me list these games off real quick. Hold up, Philadelphia Eagles schedule, because I mean this is obscene. Hold up, you guys play the Steelers next, by the way, after your bye week. Lions week 1, Vikings probably before the Cowboys was the best team you guys played. Commanders, Jaguars, Cardinals, Cowboys, Steelers, Texans, Commanders, Colts, Packers, Titans, Giants, Bears, Cowboys, Saints, Giants. Like, whoa. Now, no NFC East game is really, I think, is fully, because, like, NFC East, for some reason, they just, like, kind of cancel each other out. And, like, besides last year, they usually played each other pretty well because the NFC East is the NFC Beast. But they could come out here with a lot of wins. And if they play to their best ability, they could go like, I don't know, they could really have like one loss and just like to the Packers, like the Cowboys or something. But I'm not of the Eagles like hype bandwagon. I'm not gonna put them above the Bills or the Chiefs, so I'm at 3.
For my 3, I got the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. The Chiefs are some team that I feel like they usually choke late playoffs, and I see that happening again this season. I don't see them going I don't see them going to the Super Bowl. It's bad when Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are their 2 best players. I'm kind of done with both of them. Patrick Mahomes a bit less, but Travis Kelce, I'm over him. I think he's way overrated, way overused. They should be having much better players, but they don't. Juju Smith-Schuster is all right, but he's not been playing well. And their running back game is so weak. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a troll. Let me just say that. I have him in my fantasy league, and I've been forced to put him in, and he just trolls me. Every week that I put him in, he does awful, and every week that I take him out, he does well. I don't like their running back game because I don't trust any of them, but yeah, Chiefs, I don't see them making Super Bowl this year. But my top 2 teams are my Super Bowl predictions. Let me just say that.
Whoa, okay. What I will say about the Chiefs is I think this is going to be the first time, 4 years they don't host the AFC Championship. It's going to be the Bills. But the Chiefs, in these past 4 years, lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship, won against 49ers in the Super Bowl, lost to the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, then had a terrible loss against the Bengals. And I will say, I think Patrick Mahomes right now is the second best quarterback in the NFL. He was the best for a while. He can still make plays. He can still be a magician. Like against the Buccaneers, he was doing wild stuff. If Patrick Mahomes is your starting quarterback, you're always gonna be contenders. And in the playoffs, they can get stuff rolling. We'll have to see, but they don't have guys like Tyreek Hill anymore or Tyrann Mathieu, so it is going to be harder for them to win. I do think that they're still one of the best teams though, which is why I'm at 2. I have the Kansas City Chiefs at 2. They're one of the best teams. I think that they could though still lose the division against the Chargers. The Chargers and the Chiefs have the same record now, which means all the Chargers have to do is beat them in SoFi, and they could possibly win the division because of that. I don't think anyone else is really going to threaten them in that division. I think the Raiders have already basically imploded to where even if they sweep the AFC West, I still don't think it's going to be enough to win the division. And the Broncos are the Broncos. But yeah, I think if the Chiefs do end up not winning the division, they're going to be a scary wild card team. But I think they probably go out in the division around this year. Yeah.
For me, my number 2, I got the Buffalo Bills.
Wow. Okay.
Josh Allen, man, he's a good player. He's probably the best player in the NFL right now, in my opinion, at least. Stephon Diggs is also there. He's a really good player. And Gabe Davis, who's someone who has been proving himself in these games. Gabe Davis, I have a lot of faith in for the Buffalo Bills. Even what's his face, Devin Singletary. He's been playing well. I trust him. I trust a lot of the players. Dawson Knox. These are all players that I think have been performing consistently, and their consistently is going to continue. They're not going to have many games that they give up too easily. Unlike what was the game that they gave up
The
recently?
Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphins. Yeah, that was a fluke. I can see them going to the Super Bowl this year. Have a lot of faith in them.
Okay. So my number one are the 2022 Super Bowl champions, or the 2023 Super Bowl champions, the Buffalo Bills. A team that's actually going to the Super Bowl, unlike your number one pick. I think the Buffalo Bills. I think that they could run the table from here on out. They do play tough teams since they did win the division last year. They're gonna, but they've already played a lot of teams like the Ravens. They passed them. They passed through the Chiefs, and winning that game against the Chiefs could be the reason why they have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They're just so good. I mean, Von Miller, Gabe Davis, Devin Singletary. I think they kind of fumbled the bag because I think Christian McCaffrey was interested in going to Buffalo, but that they still maybe could sign Odell Beckham because Von Miller seems really wanting to be on that team. Stephon Diggs had him on a fantasy team. First couple weeks got 40 a game. It was crazy. So yeah, without a doubt, I think the Bills are the best team. But to be fair, I think also Josh Allen MVP. I think there's only been 6 times where the favorite to win the Super Bowl, the odds-on favorite, which was the Bills this year, has actually won it. 6 times, it's about to be 7 because the Bills are, unless something crazy happens, they should be the Super Bowl champions come February. But
Well, that's not true because my number one pick and these Super Bowl champions this year, I'm telling you right now, they're going to win the Super Bowl if they keep this up. Are the Philadelphia Eagles? Absolutely are the team. Victor's live. Saving Skyland's live. I just got a notification. But anyway, on to football. Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl this year. Second Super Bowl win. They got Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and the best defense in the NFL.
Whoa,
you can say
but
the Eagles' defense is the best in the NFL.
You got 3 picks against the backup quarterback. You guys won your Super Bowl already, okay? You beat the Cowboys. You guys won. This is where the rivals part of the podcast comes in right here, okay?
Yeah, right here.
Eagles are frauds. They're getting bounced the first game they play in the playoffs. Book it right here. Actually, you guys can make an NFC championship because the NFC sucks this year. It is terrible. It's not good.
Yeah.
But the NFC East is the NFC Beast, obviously, so that's why we're kind of care. I think it's 3/4 of the NFC is in the playoff pick, and NFC East is in the playoff picture right now. But
yeah,
dude, Cowboys versus Eagles in AT&T. That's a win for the Cowboys right there, man. Make Jalen Hurts throw. I want Jalen Hurts to throw, okay? Because he's getting exposed if he's thrown. Because he got benched for Tua in Alabama. Do you guys know that he got benched for Tua in Alabama because Tua's a better player than him. Jalen Hurts isn't good. You guys should tank for Bryce. You guys should tank for Bryce Young. You guys should tank. AJ Brown. He's good. Okay, AJ Brown is good. Does it suck that you guys had a really good offseason? Yeah. Okay, but Jordan Davis, whatever. I don't care. Jerry Slay, who cares? We have Dak. We got Dak now, and Dak owns the Eagles. I think his record's It's pretty well. Hold on, let me look up Dak's record against the Eagles real quick. Dak Prescott owns the NFC East as a whole. To be honest with you, he's 7-3. Okay, and he's about to be 8-3. This week 16. What I will say, I think the Eagles will eventually have a bad game. Like how the Bills kind of had a bad game against the Dolphins, huh?
It's inevitable. Definitely, I agree with you. I don't see them being undefeated.
17-0. Even if they go 17-0. I still want to play them. I want the Cowboys to play the Eagles in the playoffs. That does mean if we lose, though, the NFC East, we have to get past the first round, which is for some reason super hard for this team to do. But I want to play the Eagles in Philly, honestly. In the playoffs. I want that to happen. Now, the thing I get the Eagles is you can only play who's in front of you, and the Eagles so far have done that and have done that successfully. The only undefeated team. But if they play even the Ravens, if they play the Buccaneers, I think the Buccaneers are better than them. If they play the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are better than them. I think the Bills would absolutely crush the Eagles, even in Philadelphia. I think the Bills would do whatever they want to with you guys. Who you guys played? You guys have played the Cardinals, who you almost lost to. The Saints, the Lions, who you almost lost to. You beat a backup quarterback, good job. You guys, you got, you know what, you're right. You guys did win the Super Bowl because your Super Bowl is beating the Dallas Cowboys. So you have won your Super Bowl. Congratulations to that for you. But yeah, the Cowboys, I think, since the Eagles have such a good schedule, that loss to the Eagles could potentially be the reason why they don't win the NFC East. That could be it, because because I think it's like, okay, if the Eagles go 14-2 or whatever, I think the Cowboys will have a worse record than them. I think the Cowboys are going to be around like 12-5 or 11-6 or something like that. To be fair though, like we beat both the teams that went to the Super Bowl. You guys have beaten a bunch of teams that aren't going to be in the playoffs this year. So iron sharpens iron, in my opinion. And does playing in the NFC East make us maybe like look better than we actually are, maybe, but come playoff time, I want to play the Eagles. That's the team I want to play in the playoffs. So yeah, but yeah, that was the power rankings. We somehow were able to rank 32 teams, which is pretty crazy. I'm just going to go through my top 10 real quick. It was the Los Angeles Rams, the Ravens, the 49ers, the Vikings, the Buccaneers, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Buffalo Bills. What was your?
And mine were the Niners, the Vikings, the Bengals, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Bucks, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Eagles, Super Bowl champs.
So I just want to hear one thing. Are you going? So you admit that the Cowboys are a good team this year, right?
Well, I think that they're a good team. I think I can see them going decently far, but I don't think that they go to Super Bowl this year.
I agree with everything you said when it comes to the Eagles. I think that they could maybe even make an NFC Championship appearance, but they're not going to go to the Super Bowl. Actually, the NFC East is honestly so terrible that I really wouldn't be like too shocked if the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl, because like who's in the NFC that's actually like scary this year? The Cowboys, the Niners, the Eagles,
and the Giants and the Vikings. That's like it.
That's it. And like everyone just decided to move to the AFC this year. It was really wild. You guys could go to the Super Bowl and I'll still call you guys frauds because I'm just a hater. But yeah. That was probably it, guys. I'm going to promote this on my community tab obviously after this. But after this episode, all these podcasts, you will find them on the Rivals podcast channel, which I'll link that actually again in the description real quick, in the live stream chat. So we're not going to just be doing power rankings. We'll be doing other stuff probably throughout the year. Yeah, have a couple cool episodes. We might do like game reactions even. Maybe. We'll see. That'd be pretty cool. We do game reactions, especially, Cowboys versus Eagles game reaction.
Yeah, got to get one in for that game.
Yeah, yep. The Cowboys versus Eagles game reaction would be pretty dope. Only problem is like my TV is actually behind me. You can see it right there, So if I were to have a game reaction, I'd just kind of be like that. I'll see what I can do about that. Anyway, guys, yeah, I'll put the Rivals podcast link if I can find it real quick, because you can't actually look up the channel. If you look up the channel, you won't get anything because there is no videos on it yet. But from here on out, every single episode, and I just got a link, will be on that Rivals podcast. We'll probably make like a quick introductory video or something like that later in the line for the Rivals podcast. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching the video. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys later.